All right, let's dive into the incredible story of a true giant of football, a man whose name just echoes with resilience, triumph, and pure class, Sir Bobby Charlton.
It's a really powerful question, right? And in the case of Sir Bobby Charlton, it's not just some kind of metaphor. His story really does begin in the crucible of one of football's darkest ever days.
You see, long before he became this global icon, he was a survivor. And that journey of resilience, that is the absolute foundation of his entire legend.
So, picture this. It's February 1958, and the Munich air disaster strikes. We're talking about an unimaginable tragedy that claimed the lives of many of his teammates, the famous Busby Babes, and left the future of Manchester United just hanging by a thread.
And this timeline is it's astonishing. Only months after surviving such a horrific crash, a young Bobby Charlton was already back on the pitch. Can you even imagine the physical and emotional strength that must have taken? It's just staggering.
And that's the thing. His return wasn't just a personal victory. It was so much bigger than that. Through his quiet dignity and just sheer will on the field, he became the very soul of the rebuilding effort. A new Manchester United would literally rise from the ashes, built around him.
But here's the amazing part of the story. After surviving the absolute worst, he would go on to experience the absolute best. And we're talking about a single year that cemented his place in football history forever.
That year was 1966, and for English football, and especially for Bobby Charlton, everything was about to change.
First up, he led England to its one, and still, to this day, its only FIFA World Cup victory, and he did it on home soil. He was the absolute driving force of that legendary team.
And you'd think winning the World Cup would be enough, right?
Nope. That very same year, he was officially recognized as the single best player in Europe, winning the coveted Ballon d'Or.
I mean, his impact for his country was just immense. He scored 49 goals for England, a national record that stood solid for over 40 years. He wasn't just a great player. He was a prolific, consistent goal scorer you could always count on.
But the story wasn't complete, not by a long shot. That whole journey of resilience had to come full circle, right back where it all started, at his club, Manchester United. This was about rebuilding a dream that had been shattered in Munich.
At the heart of this new United was an attacking force that became absolutely iconic, the United Trinity. You had Charlton alongside the dazzling George Best and the lethal Dennis Law. What a trio. They were one of the most famous forward lines in football history.
And just think about that for a second. 10 years, exactly a decade after the tragedy that nearly destroyed the club, he stood on the verge of the ultimate prize in European club football. The symbolism there is just, wow. And of course they did it. In 1968, he captained Manchester United to its very first European Cup victory. This wasn't just a trophy, no way. This was the emotional culmination of a decade of pain, of struggle, and of rebuilding. It was redemption.
Okay, so we've seen his incredible journey, but what actually made him so phenomenal on the pitch? What were his skills? Let's break it down.
So, he was primarily an attacking midfielder. What does that mean? Well, he was the engine of the team. His job was to both create chances for others and score goals himself. It's a role that requires incredible vision and, let me tell you, a ton of stamina.
And what a combination of talents he had. He was famous for these thunderous long-range shots, absolute rockets, scoring spectacular goals from well outside the box. But he matched that raw power with incredible creativity and, this is crucial, a tireless work ethic. The man never stopped running. And he did it all with this remarkable longevity and loyalty. We're talking over 750 matches for Manchester United. That is one of the highest appearance totals in the club's entire history.
So when you put all of this together, you get a legacy that's so much bigger than just trophies and statistics. It's a legacy of character and this enduring, deep respect.
Ultimately, he wasn't just a player for Manchester United. He became a symbol of its entire history, its tragedy, its resilience, and of course, its greatest triumphs. His impact was so profound that in 1994, he was knighted for his services to the game. And that's when he went from a sporting hero to a national treasure, a true figure of respect. Which, brings us all the way back to our initial question. If you're looking for an answer to what it truly means to be a legend, well, you might not find a better one than the life and career of Sir Bobby Charlton. A story of surviving the unthinkable, reaching the absolute pinnacle, and doing it all with an unparalleled grace.